Aldi's cashiers look pretty cozy sitting at those chairs behind the register, but there's a more practical reason why the store lets their cashiers sit down, and it has nothing to do with comfort. When you approach the checkout line at Aldi, you might be surprised to see the cashier sitting on a stool behind the register. This is not an attempt at taking a break while on the clock. Instead, it's a policy Aldi's management put in place. Employees are told to sit down while ringing you up. The reasoning behind this unusual tactic comes back to one of Aldi's main objectives: productivity. Aldi focuses a lot of attention on efficient procedures within the store, including a cart rental system, which eliminates the need for employees to round up carts in the parking lot. Call their obsession with efficiency overkill, but Aldi has over 2,300 stores open in the US, with more to come in 2023. If their growth rate continues, it will make them the third largest grocery store in America, behind Walmart and Kroger.
I love Aldi.
So what does sitting down behind the register have to do with efficiency? Turns out employees can scan your items faster from a seated position. According to Mental Floss, the ringing speed of employees working the checkout is constantly tracked and measured. The results of these observations revealed that seated cashiers means speedier transactions. Employees are expected to ring up somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,200 items per hour and are given performance review reports at the end of their shift. Furthermore, a deep dive into a Reddit thread reveals there is a lot of strategy to increasing your ring speed. One user is full of tips for his fellow Aldi employees that will shave seconds off their time, including helping customers that are slow to unload their groceries. This user boasts that there are days he has broken 1,600 items scanned per hour, far above the expected amount of 1,200.
We keep track of efficiency. I have cashiers that check at 45 to 50 items per minute.
As a customer, you might notice that Aldi cashiers have other tricks up their sleeve to make their ring speed even faster. An Aldi shift manager described their tricks on the same Reddit thread, saying, "There are a few factors that come into play when it comes to ring speed. I'd say the number one factor is the customer. It can be very stressful dealing with slow people, and your numbers can plummet." The shift manager then said that they don't start the transaction until the customer has put all of their stuff onto the register. The person added, "By doing this, yes, they look at me funny, but by the time I'm done, they are still digging through their wallet for change. Usually it helps because it maximizes efficiency, and I'm not waiting for the next item to come down the belt." While Aldi employees no doubt appreciate their privileged position as perhaps the only seated grocery cashiers in the US, many people wonder why checkout clerks in other stores don't get to sit down. In fact, even the Occupational Safety and Health Administration recommends check stands with stools. Safeway spokesperson Craig Muckle told the Washington Post in 2007 that standing cashiers were a cultural thing, but also admitted that existing check stands would need significant modifications to fit stools. Union spokesperson Jill Cashin also theorized that sitting might make grocery checkout duties more difficult. However, stores such as Aldi that do allow seated cashiers find that sitting doesn't impede their work. On an interesting side note, it would seem that California state law actually does permit most cashiers to work from a seated position. According to a 2016 ruling, employers have to prove that the majority of an employee's tasks can't be performed while seated. In the absence of such proof, seats must be provided. As of a 2022 case involving AutoZone, though, it seems as if some California employers not named Aldi are still out of compliance. Is this an issue that's ever going to be addressed, or will grocery stores move to a self-checkout-based model in order to no longer deal with seating arrangements? We can't say for sure, but we'll keep you posted on any new developments.
We're all looking for ways to save money, and if there's an Aldi near you, you can definitely pocket some cash on groceries. With Aldi blowing up the US market, you'll likely find yourself heading to this European favorite very soon. But like anywhere else, not everything is a great buy. Here are some of the worst foods you'll find in the aisles of Aldi. Pre-ripened avocados. You've got a few options when it comes to Aldi avocados, one of which happens to be the pre-ripened variety.
Is there anything avocados can't pull off? No?
These avos are more expensive, and according to The Guardian, that's not the only thing that makes them a thumbs down. There are no real regulations on ready-to-use avocados, and oftentimes they're not actually ripe at all. Plan ahead, spend less, and skip these tricky Aldicados. Overpriced chicken and turkey. One of Aldi's biggest draws is their great deals. But there aren't deep discounts on everything. When Clark.com compared Aldi, Kroger, and Walmart, Aldi's chicken and turkey were regularly priced higher than at least one of their competitors. Cheat Sheet found the same and recommends checking the sale prices at other stores before settling on turkey at Aldi. Subpar butter. Really good butter can be the difference between an okay dish and a great one. But butter prices have been on the rise, and not just at Aldi. So since you're going to be paying for it, you might as well get your money's worth with a top-rated brand like Kerrygold. According to The Kitchen, it's the year-round green grass that Kerrygold's cows graze on that makes the difference. So skip the other brands and go for the good stuff at Aldi. Sugar-packed cereal. Let's face it, sugary cereals taste so good. But they're not so good for you, and Aldi's got some sugar bombs hiding on its shelves. According to The Telegraph, Aldi's Harvest Morn Choco Rice saw an 18.2% increase in sugar content from 2012 to 2015. And Choice rated some of Aldi's cereals 2.5 out of 5 stars for being loaded with sugar and salt. When it comes to Aldi cereals, read your labels carefully. Cheap milk and veggies. Aldi has been accused of seriously pressuring dairy farmers. Selling cheap milk means sourcing it at a lower price, and in 2012, The Guardian reported that some dairy farmers were facing bankruptcy thanks to discount stores like Aldi, and the same goes for that low cost on produce. In 2014, the Irish Farmers Association condemned Aldi for reducing rates for sourced veg by as much as 10%. And when Aldi didn't pay, farmers couldn't keep their businesses in the black. In 2016, Agriland reported that farmers even started protesting at Aldi stores. If it saves the world's farms, paying a few pennies more is worth it. Poorly processed fish.
Can anyone tell me where fish come from?
Aldi!
In October 2017, the AP reported that some brands of fish, including Aldi's Sea Queen, were being processed in China by North Korean workers. Further investigation found the North Korean government took as much as 70% of these workers' salaries, siphoning money from China into North Korea. Check that fish for Chinese origins to know what business you're truly supporting. Eggs from unhappy chickens. In 2016, Aldi announced that all their eggs would be cage-free by 2025. But as of mid-2018, while there are free-range eggs available at many locations, Aldi says they, quote, respond to customer demand, which means not every egg comes from a happy chicken. According to Ethical Consumers findings, the low-priced eggs Aldi stocks are labeled enriched cage, which isn't exactly cruelty-free. Until all of Aldi's hens are happily cage-free, be extra careful when selecting your eggs.
Cheating at Aldi? Scheming the system? This checkout monkey business has apparently been going on for some time, and Aldi employees have had enough. Odds are, if you try pulling something over on a grocery store cashier, they're going to notice. In an interview with Insider, an Aldi employee who goes by JK shared his thoughts on a tactic he especially hates. It's not uncommon for Aldi to place purchasing limits on certain items, but people will often try to get around that in some underhanded ways. The scheme is this. Customers know they can only take a certain number of a limited item through the checkout. So they get other people, like family or friends, to also bring the maximum number of that item through the checkout line separately. Once they're out the door, they combine their respective spoils, and voila! They've gotten more than they were allowed to, like suburban grocery pirates. But as Aldi employee JK shared with Insider, employees can usually spot this scheme, and they hate it. He said, "We know that a 3-year-old didn't come in on their own to buy 3 dozen eggs with a $50 bill. In these cases, we're forced to ask the responsible customer to put back the excess. And that's annoying. Hyperbolic, but on the mark. The point is, you're probably not as sneaky as you think." In 2023, cashiers likely faced these troubles when major grocery outlets set purchasing limits on eggs. These limits were the result of a nationwide egg shortage, which caused prices to soar.
And consumers and businesses have scrambled to keep up. What's behind so-called eggflation?
The news of the rations quickly spread across social media, with shoppers sharing their first-hand accounts. One Twitter user shared a photo from inside the grocery store and wrote, "Limit 2 per customer for $9 eggs. Things are fine. Things are totally fine." Difficult times like these make it even more challenging for grocery store employees to keep things in check, and self-checkouts have the potential to make this problem even more widespread. Aldi has long been known for cutting costs by passing some of the work on to the customer. That's why you bag your own groceries and return your own cart. It stands to reason then that this retailer would eventually get on board with the self-checkout trend. Not all Aldis have rolled out this new format as of yet, but the change is definitely underway. and self-checkout stations have been popping up in Aldi stores from Nebraska to Pennsylvania and South Carolina. When it comes to circumventing item limits via self-checkout, it seems that you could probably also try that same trick of having your kids go through the line to make their own purchases. In this case, though, you won't be dealing with a cashier whose job may depend on them remaining as polite as possible under the circumstances, but rather on the goodwill of other Aldi patrons who have no such constraints, and who are probably interested in the same limited items you're trying to get more of. We'll leave the specifics of how that might play out to your imagination. Sometimes, instead of trying to bypass sales restrictions, customers attempt to ignore them altogether. Whether items are limited as part of a discount or because of nationwide shortages in eggs, trying to ring up more than the posted amount is a waste of time for both you and the cashier. The same Aldi employee told Insider, "If customers take more than they're allowed, we have to ask them to leave the excess at the register. This makes the employee look like the bad guy when they're only enforcing a clearly posted rule. Where some customers try to weasel their way out of purchasing limits, others wish they'd be enforced on a larger scale." On the Aldi subreddit, one user called for limits on Aldi's special fines items. Though the shopper shows up each Sunday at 9 a.m., taking advantage of these deals isn't always possible due to greedier customers. The post read, "Some of them bring 2 to 3 shopping carts each and load up their carts with everything. One woman bought every planter and pergola that my neighboring Aldi had in stock. Why would one person need so many pergolas?" Maybe shady people just hate the sun. On the other hand, one commenter explained that shoppers buy bulk amounts for resale.
I switched everything into another store's bag.
Either way, it's fair to say that there is a certain level of etiquette expected when shopping in a grocery store. And it's a basic courtesy to not buy over your limit when products are rationed due to a lack of supply.
From hidden gems in the bakery aisle to insider tips on the best day to shop for pillowy goodies, savvy shoppers are mindful of a few hacks that make the most of this cult favorite store and their devilly delicious bakery. What do Thomas's Breads, English Muffins, Entenmann's Snack Cakes, and Sara Lee Sandwich Bread have in common? Their producer is Bimbo Bakeries USA, aka the largest producer of baked bread goods in the United States. This bakery leads the statistics in the production of sliced bread, English muffins, and hot dog buns. According to Bimbo, you most likely have one of its products sitting on your kitchen shelf right now. The company states that an estimated 80% of American households consume Bimbo products on a regular basis. While it's never been fully confirmed, some rumors suggest the massive commercial bakery is behind Aldi's private label baked goods brand, Lovin' Fresh. This is especially likely since Aldi acknowledged Bimbo as its supplier in a 2015 recall notice. This probable truth isn't necessarily bad. Lovin' Fresh bread is wildly popular. But it's an interesting tidbit to keep in mind for consumers who like to know more about the back-end production of their groceries. For most American Aldi stores, baked goods are sourced from regional bakeries across the country. However, a lucky few locations are part of the growing subset of Aldi stores that have a source of freshly baked bread aromas within their own 4 walls. If your local Aldi has a sign proclaiming Oven Fresh Bake Shop over a glass-doored wall of fresh bread, donuts, scones, pretzels, and other baked delicacies, you're in luck. It boasts an in-house bakery. These bakeries cropped up in certain Aldi locations across Maryland and the Midwest as a test by the grocer to gauge shopper interest regarding the availability of freshly made baked goods. Unfortunately, this self-serve wall of carby goodness isn't a ubiquitous Aldi feature just yet. But perhaps you're fortunate enough to be within reasonable commuting distance to one of the locations on the unofficial Aldi in-house bakery list, compiled by fans on Reddit. The prices on most Aldi baked goods are already great, but if you want to shave even more off your grocery bill, you'll want to start paying attention to the expiration dates of your local shop's stock. The grocery store is known to discount its baked goods by 50% in the days before expiration. The exact cutoff date is unclear, as some sources state that this happens 5 days before expiration, while others suggest it's only 2. Nevertheless, with a couple of well-timed trips, you should be able to figure out which system your nearest Aldi abides by. In any case, if you spy a baked good you'd like to get but don't want to pay full price, check its expiration date and plan to return closer to then and be on the lookout for a sticker. Keep in mind that you run the risk of items being bought up by the time you're back. You could also nicely add Ask an Aldi employee if a baked good that expires within the next few days could be prematurely discounted. At most grocery stores, shoppers have the power. Don't like the price of a product at one store? You can probably find better rates at another. One of your longtime favorites is out of stock? Looks like the store across town has a whole shelf full. Unfortunately, the same can't be said of Aldi, since it stocks a large proportion of items from its own line. For example, don't assume you can find Love and Fresh's delicious Hawaiian bagels elsewhere if you don't like the prices. That product, like 90% of the items in the store's bakery, is exclusive according to the Aldi website. Unfortunately, this also means that if you fall in love with an item from the Aldi bakery and the store stops carrying it, you may never see it again. Whether it'll come back or not, well, that's up to Aldi's.
This mistake is being corrected, so stock up quick! Go, 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 go!
Do you want the bagels, breads, and muffins from Aldi's Bake Shop to be pillowy soft and oven fresh every time you bite into them? If so, you'll want to flock to the grocery store on Wednesday mornings. This is the best time to buy bread at Aldi, because it's when the store restocks fresh items in the bakery, produce, and seasonal sections. Plus, you can simultaneously take stock of what will soon expire and be discounted. Aldi's new weekly ad also drops on Wednesdays, so you will likely be able to find some steals across the board in the bakery, produce, meat, and pantry sections. If you are able to, make a point to rise early and be one of the doorbusters at your local Aldi to ensure you can take advantage of the sales before stock runs out, aka don't be this guy.
What?
Are you open?
Read the sign.
I'll have a Krabby Patty Deluxe and a double chili kelp fries.
If this is the first you're hearing about a 7-Up cake, we know what you're probably thinking. Why? It may come as a surprise that Aldi Bake Shop's 7-Up cake isn't some hip, trendy spin on a lemon pound cake. Still, tradition trumps novelty here, as the practice of putting soda in cake recipes originated in the South since at least the 1950s. Bubbly beverages replace leavening agents and can create totally new cake flavors. Popular pops like Coca-Cola, 7-Up, and root beer are among the most widely known sodas to be included in baking. Aldi's 7-Up cake is moist, dense, and tastes just like a cold can of its namesake, so it may be worth making a trip to the bake shop to get your fix. You just can't leave the Aldi bakery aisle without snatching up a bag of scrumptious brioche or French toast bagels. These unique bagels make a strong case for being the best Aldi bakery finds you can get your hands on. But if you don't believe us, you could always refer to the 2022 Product of the Year Awards. Both varieties won in the breakfast category, and other baked products by Aldi, like its French baguette, have also received praise. If you've never had the brioche bagels, you are missing out. Dense and buttery, they are the perfect vessel for a thick layer of your favorite flavor of cream cheese. The maple French toast bagels have a sweet taste that is an excellent contrast to the salty, savory combination of bacon and eggs in a bagel breakfast sandwich. Who doesn't love King's Hawaiian sweet rolls? These soft and buttery sweet rolls make excellent buns for sliders or sides for dinners like a roast chicken or pot roast. They're even good enough to shamelessly sneak right out of the bag and enjoy solo. What you might not know is that a more affordable but equally delicious alternative is right under your nose at Aldi, the Love and Fresh Hawaiian sweet rolls. Fans rated these rolls as better than the name brand in the Aldi Fan Favorites survey in 2020, according to PR Newswire. So you might just find them yummy enough to replace King's Hawaiian on your bread shelf altogether. Plus, the price discrepancy can't be overstated. King's Hawaiian sweet rolls cost around $5 per pack of 12 at Target, while Love and Fresh Hawaiian sweet rolls are around $3 at Aldi. There's no wonder these buns are a beloved copycat.
Okay, who wants sweet rolls?
Oh, I do. Me too.
Gluten-sensitive and gluten-intolerant shoppers won't feel left out in the Aldi Bake Shop aisle. The grocery store carries an entire line of products dedicated to gluten-free eating, including breaded chicken, Rice Crisps, pasta, bread, and other baked goods. There are several varieties of bread, wraps, tortillas, and bagels available in the Live G-Free product family, although stock will vary individually by store. Live G-Free products earn overwhelmingly positive marks in reviews across the web, and even Foodjucate praises Live G-Free bread for being high in fiber and rates the product a B. meaning that it's better than average. That's not all Aldi's has to offer for the health-conscious shopper, though. Keto dieters have rejoiced over the keto-friendly bread offered by Aldi's private bakery label, Love and Fresh, ever since it launched in 2019. If you ever want a break from your own oven, you don't have to go to expensive cafes for delicious fresh fall pastries. Aldi has you covered. Our favorite seasonal scores are without a doubt the Bake Shop apple cider donuts and pumpkin sliced loaf cake. It also wouldn't be autumn without one of Aldi Bake Shop's pies. These ready-made pies have flaky, buttery crusts and taste like they're fresh from the oven once you warm them up. Seasonal flavors typically include pumpkin, pecan, traditional apple, and caramel apple. If you're more of a breakfast eater, Aldi's warm, gooey cinnamon rolls don't disappoint. Their Bake Shop cinnamon rolls are delightful as is, with a generous cinnamon filling and soft pastry. If you're feeling especially indulgent, head to the Aldi Bake Shop and pick up a loaf of the specially selected sliced brioche loaf with chocolate chips. This delightful baked bread makes the absolute best French toast, and Aldi fans on Reddit can't get enough of it. A big platter of French toast made with chocolate chip brioche tastes like warm chocolate chip cookies, as one Redditor describes. Meanwhile, another adds that you can truly transform the dish by following Alton Brown's French toast recipe. You won't want to pass up Aldi's 100% real maple syrup either, which is usually priced very competitively compared with options from other stores, as well as a pile of thick-cut bacon to round out the meal. On another Aldi brunch post, a fan comments that the chocolate chip brioche is divine warmed up and served with sliced strawberries and a bit of chocolate sauce. You could also toast a slice, then add some butter and cinnamon sugar. Feeling particularly bold, one Redditor used the bread to switch up their peanut butter and jelly sandwich and added Nutella to the mix. Talk about chocolate overload!
Aldi has a cluck ton of frozen chicken offerings, but don't get your feathers in a ruffle. Here's a look at what's worth your money and what should stay in deep freeze, ranked from worst to best. As frequent Aldi shoppers, we know that every product has its bad days. Manufacturers can run into problems that affect a whole shipment of products, leading to a less than desirable experience for customers. But when inconsistencies frequently happen with one product, we tend to move on to something else instead. That's the case with Kirkwood's frozen chicken wings. While it's totally possible to get a good bag here and there, we've ended up with more disappointing bags. It seems like many other Aldi customers have similar experiences. For instance, one Twitter user posted a photo of a wing that's just about 2 inches long, writing, "More than half of my bag of Kirkwood frozen chicken wings were from tiny little baby chicks, not full-grown chickens." Another person shared on Twitter that the wings in their bag still had a few feathers. However, it seems that other happy Aldi wing buyers typically overlook the inconsistencies and have good results making their wings in an air fryer. If you're okay with picking off some feathers and having wings of different sizes, try picking up one of the many sauces Aldi offers, slathering up the wings and tossing them in the air fryer for a crispy, flavorful meal. Nobody buys frozen chicken breast patties expecting a gourmet dining experience. They're for when you need a quick, simple lunch or dinner backup idea for an extremely busy day. With that in mind, Kirkwood chicken breast patties are certainly affordable compared to brands in other grocery stores, and they can be a convenient addition to the freezer for those days when you just can't muster the energy to cook from scratch.
Hey, baby doll, what's for dinner?
But they're definitely not a first-choice item for us and many other Aldi shoppers. Instead, lots of Aldi fans praise a different kind of frozen chicken patty, the Mediterranean-style chicken patties in a blue box. These patties have amassed a large following since their introduction to the freezer aisle, with shoppers often sprucing them up with other Mediterranean ingredients like tzatziki, artichokes, or Greek yogurt. If you're a fan of battered chicken, you might assume you'd love the Kirkwood honey battered breast tenders in the yellow bag at Aldi. These tenders use white meat and rib meat and are breaded with a sweetened honey batter. When you make them, they actually come out just like the picture. So far so good, right? Well, the problem is with their taste and texture. These tenders can be overly sweet for some, which could be a turnoff for those looking for the more savory flavors of traditional breaded tenders or nuggets. They can also be less than palatable for people with texture aversions. Even when cooked in the oven or air fryer to crisp them up, they have somewhat of a spongy texture inside. One person on Reddit describes it well. "The honey battered tenders are good, but they leave me with a weird mouth feel. It's not an oily feel, just off." Still, plenty of Aldi lovers experiment with these tenders, typically using them as an ingredient in Asian-inspired meals like sweet and sour chicken, chicken fried rice, or chicken rice and broccoli. Perhaps when they're transformed from their original state into something new, they're a bit more palatable. We certainly love a versatile food product that we can use in multiple meals, and that's what the frozen Kirkwood boneless and skinless chicken tenderloins from Aldi bring to the table. Once they're thawed out, you can grill them, pan fry them, put them in the oven, or pop them in the air fryer for a range of meals. Personally, we love using them for grilled chicken salads, breaded chicken strips, or chicken pasta dishes. But we'd be remiss to not point out one particular problem that pops up in almost every bag: the dreaded tendons. It's not uncommon to find them on any chicken tenderloins you buy, but they're frequent occurrences in Aldi's brand of frozen tenderloins, sometimes found on every piece in the bag. Unfortunately, you can't pull or cut them off until the tenders thaw out, which can be a problem if you're cooking straight from frozen. Looking for an Aldi frozen chicken that the kids will be sure to love? Try Kirkwood's popcorn chicken, which is in a yellow golden bag, usually situated near the frozen nuggets. These little balls of white meat chicken taste very similar to the brand's chicken patties, just in smaller form. They're perfect for a quick finger food lunch or dinner for kids who haven't developed finer taste buds yet. And plenty of adults love transforming them into KFC-inspired bowls with mashed potatoes, corn, gravy, popcorn chicken, and cheese. On their own, they're a bit bland though, so the best thing to do is incorporate these affordable bags of popcorn chicken into meals that give them a bit of a flavor boost. Frozen chicken nuggets are a favorite for kids and adults. Even the pickiest eaters tend to find solace in a warm plate of nugs for lunch or dinner. Aldi's chicken nuggets from Kirkwood can be an affordable alternative to other brands you'll find at traditional grocery stores, and they don't taste too shabby considering their sometimes much lower price tag. Multiple Redditors have shared their thoughts, and the consensus seems to be clear. Aldi's nuggets are a catch. Some even claim that they're the only nuggets their children will eat, which is quite a compliment for such a universally child-loved food.
Do you guys have any chicken nuggets?
Kirkwood's blue bag of frozen breaded chicken strips is certainly a popular pick with Aldi enthusiasts. Fans use them in numerous ways, from making chicken wraps and subs, to dipping them in white country gravy or tossing them in buffalo sauce for boneless buffalo bites. The best part about them, perhaps, is that they cook in just a matter of minutes, whether you toss them in the oven or cook them in the air fryer, and they'll be crisped and ready to eat for a quick, easy meal. Our suggestion? After cooking the breaded chicken strips with whatever method you prefer, let them cool off for a couple of minutes. Then, cut them up and serve them over potatoes or rice drizzled with chicken gravy. We also love them atop Caesar or house salad. There's simply no going wrong with this versatile option from Aldi. Where there are regular chicken strips, a spicier version usually isn't too far behind. Such is the case for Kirkwood's frozen breaded chicken strips, which has a buffalo version that you can find in an easy-to-spot orange bag. For spice lovers, they're an absolute must-try. If there's one complaint we have about these buffalo chicken strips, it's that they might not give enough heat for some taste buds. Still, the flavor is delicious, and there's always room for you to add extra sauce if you'd like. Either way, they make the perfect foundation for buffalo chicken wraps or salads with ranch dressing. If you're on the hunt for frozen chicken at Aldi that you can use in a virtually endless number of recipes, try Kirkwood's boneless and skinless chicken breasts or thighs. They're usually right next to each other on the frozen shelves and are clearly marked with different colors so you can quickly spot the difference. One caveat of these bags of chicken is that the pieces can vary in size significantly, especially the breasts. If you're making a meal for a family and want everyone to have similar sized pieces, you might need to double up 2 smaller breasts to make up for one of the larger ones you find in the bag. Otherwise, these frozen chicken bags can be helpful to have on hand. Thaw these in the fridge a day before you need to cook them, or cook them straight from frozen if you're cooking a meal in the slow cooker or pressure cooker.
What's chicken cordon bleu?
Chicken cordon bleu is a breaded chicken breast that's stuffed with ham and cheese. Aldi sells these little bundles of yum as individually wrapped products in the frozen section. While they're a bit pricier than other forms of frozen chicken, they serve as a tasty treat for the family. Because of its savory stuffing, chicken cordon bleu is rather filling, so you won't need more than a side dish or two to round out a meal. Every once in a while, Aldi also has other versions of stuffed chicken breasts similar to chicken cordon bleu, like chicken Florentine or creamy jalapeno. If you find them, grab them, because they usually don't last long. Although these are intended to cook in the oven, you can also microwave or air fry them for a quicker meal. Serve with chicken gravy for a flavor boost, or cut one up to serve over mashed potatoes or pasta. Aldi has plenty of frozen chicken products to buy, whether you want plain chicken breasts or various types of breaded chicken to switch things up. One of its more unique offerings is chicken fries, another Kirkwood favorite that Aldi's biggest fans post about a lot in Facebook groups. You can probably imagine that these small strips of chicken are popular finger foods for kids, as they're relatively similar to nuggets. But you might be surprised by how many adults love them too. Kirkwood's chicken fries are great on their own or with your favorite dipping sauce. If you can find it at your local Aldi store, we suggest grabbing a bottle of Berman's Chicken Dippin' Sauce, which is a clone of the famous Chick-fil-A sauce. It pairs perfectly with these chicken fries, which make for a quick meal on a busy day. You can even stick them in the microwave for a few minutes if you're in a rush. When you need chicken for salad or wraps but aren't in the mood to grill it up yourself, try a bag of Kirkwood's grilled chicken strips from the Aldi freezer aisle. They're super convenient to use when you're in a pinch because they microwave or pan fry in about 2 to 3 minutes from frozen. We love using them for burrito bowls, chicken quesadillas, and chicken Alfredo. One person in an Aldi Facebook group post mentions that they thaw them first, put the chicken strips on skewers, and then grill them to make kebabs. Others use them as the star of casseroles, chicken nachos, grain bowls, and fajitas. Really, the options are endless with this frozen chicken. One note of warning, these taste quite salty already, so be careful about seasoning them with extra salt until you've tasted them. When we crave Parmesan chicken but don't have the time to make it from scratch, there's one bag of Aldi frozen chicken we reach for: Kirkwood's Parmesan chicken in the green bag. This chicken is basically a large chicken tender that's breaded in a Parmesan herb-crusted seasoning and frozen until you're ready to use it. They cook in the oven in about 20 minutes right from the freezer, giving plenty of time to make pasta and sauce to go with it. If you're making traditional Parmesan chicken, simply add your sauce and cheese to the tenders about halfway through the cooking time. Otherwise, you can do what many Aldi fans do and enjoy them plain. They have lots of flavor in the breading, so they don't need any additions. Still, there are plenty of ways to get creative with them, like chopping a tender to add to a salad or wrap, mixing a sliced tender with pasta, or adding one to a bun for a tasty bird sandwich.
Only bird I like is in a chicken sandwich.
People who hang around Aldi fan groups on Reddit or Facebook know all about the famous Kirkwood breaded chicken fillets, more commonly referred to as red bag chicken. Many Aldi shoppers pick up 1 or 2 of these red bags every time they visit Aldi, resulting in a surprisingly massive following for a bag of frozen chicken. And the thing is, they're absolutely worth the hype. The famous red bag chicken is nothing more than breaded chicken fillets. However, they're seasoned well, and when cooked in the oven or air fryer, they have an excellent amount of crispy breading. There are so many ways to use them too, which is why they're so handy to keep forever stocked in the freezer. In an article for Insider, writer Laura Walsh tested the chicken to see if it was worth all its praise. Walsh's thoughts? Not only did she think the chicken was reminiscent of Chick-fil-A's breaded chicken, but she also tells fans to run, not walk, to grab some the next time they're at an Aldi. Truer words were never spoken.
Aldi was the brainchild of German brothers Theo and Karl Albrecht. Few photos of these super secretive billionaires exist, and they didn't give very many interviews. But here's what we do know about the brothers behind a grocery giant. Karl Albrecht was born on February 20th, 1920, and his younger brother Theodor arrived on March 28th, 1922. They got their start in the grocery business by pulling a wooden wagon and selling buns along the streets of Essen, Germany. Their neighborhood was a rundown working-class area. The widely accepted story is that their father, also named Karl, was a miner who had to quit after contracting black lung. So he began running a small corner store, but according to his grandson, also named Karl, that's not true. The third-generation Karl Albrecht says that his grandfather wasn't a miner, but rather a baker's apprentice. Until, that is, he gave up the trade to get involved in running a storefront, a business his wife took over when he was drafted in 1914. In a rare interview with a German-language newspaper, Aldi co-founder Karl described himself as lucky. Not only did he survive tuberculosis and a brush with death at age 5, he also credited his mother for getting him and his brother into the business at a young age and showing them what it took to run a successful store. The original Aldi looked very different than today's stores. It was only about 1,000 square feet, and it was located on the ground floor of a 4-story brick row house. The Albrechts lived above the shop, and making ends meet wasn't easy. In an interview with a German-language newspaper, Karl said that what made the business most difficult was all the competition that they faced. But he was able to realize just what he needed to do to compete. Chain stores were luring customers away with low prices, and the brothers knew that if they wanted to advance in the world, They were going to have to win those customers back. And they knew the value of sticking with the grocery store business long term. As Carl said, "I would have done something else, but I recognized as a child that you can grow up as a grocer even in times of crisis." The Albrechts were always on the front lines of the business, and at the time that they were embarking on building their empire, it was as if Aldi was simply meant to be. According to Carl, "I always believed in my ideas and consistently implemented them. It was so clear, so simple, anyone could have done it."
We know what you're thinking. Fill your pockets with savings. Aldi. Shop differently.
During World War II, Essen was a prime target for Allied bombing runs. According to the New York Times, more than 200 bombing missions were run over the city, but somehow the Albrechts' little grocery store was spared. Both brothers were drafted, and both spent much of the war in Allied prisoner of war camps. Theo was sent to fight in the Afrika Korps, and sources vary on whether he was captured in Italy or Tunisia. Carl, meanwhile, was sent to the Russian front. After only a few months, he suffered a wound that nearly required the amputation of his leg. He then later survived capture and a weeks-long march across the Eastern Front. Many of his fellow soldiers were either shot or sent back to the front. After the brothers were released from the POW camps, they returned to their hometown and the family store. 5 years after they took over the business, they had already grown to have 31 branches. 2 years after that, Aldi had expanded to more than 300 locations. Life in post-war Germany was difficult, and it shaped the way the Albrecht brothers did business. They had little money themselves, so when they were able to reopen their family store, they could only afford to offer basic staple items like pasta and soap. Almost accidentally, they had stumbled upon a brilliant business model. Offer the basics at a cheap price point and people will come. They started cutting costs and waste right from the beginning, and that included cutting out what had been a common sight in grocery stores until then: the counter clerk. For a long time, people would come into the store, tell the clerk what they wanted, and have their order filled. The Albrecht brothers picked up on the American tradition of self-service, and that allowed them to cut costs even more. This is a practice that Aldi still uses today by having customers bag their own groceries. The Albrechts' low-cost, no-frills approach earned them something of a cult following, and they were so popular that they opened 4 more Aldi stores by 1948. Those early stores were about the size of a dorm room, and each one maintained the same bare-bones look that the company is still known for today. In 1961, Aldi underwent a major change, and it happened for the same reason that many families change: a dispute between brothers. It all came down to whether or not they were going to sell cigarettes. Theo was in favor of adding them to Aldi's shelves, but Carl was 100% against it. He believed the move would attract and encourage shoplifting, and it proved to be a deal-breaker. At the time, they were operating about 300 Aldi stores. They drew a line right through their hometown of Essen, designating that the Aldi Equator. Theo took over the stores in the north while Carl took the south, thus splitting the locations in an impressively amicable way. While the division led to stores that carried different products, had different logos, and were identified by different colors, the brothers remained on good terms. They even still partnered up to share information and negotiate with suppliers, using their joint weight to get even better deals.
Not everybody can be a winner like Aldi. Their products have won over 400 awards for quality, kind of like Cooper's solar system.
When it comes to butter, cheaper is not always better. While many great deals abound at Aldi, budget shoppers beware. Butter is not one of them. For starters, butter is not much of a bargain at Aldi. Due to an all-time high of butter consumption and a global butter production bottleneck, butter prices are on the rise. Then there is quality to consider. With Aldi brand butter so close in price to brand name butters, it may be worth cutting costs elsewhere and sticking with the glorious golden spread produced by your favorite brand. And chances are your go-to might be imported from Ireland. The kitchen affirms that Kerrygold is one of the most popular butter brands consumed in the US, with good reason. It's also the best in their opinion. Ireland has long been known for its decadent butter. In fact, Irish butter has been tantalizing palates for as long as 3,000 years. While Kerrygold Pure Irish Butter is no longer churned by hand, it is still a product of pastoral tradition.
It took years of expertise to create a butter as rich and creamy as Kerrygold. And over the years, our recipe has remained the same.
Kerrygold's cows are raised on pasture, and that makes a huge difference. Kerrygold also tops Extra Crispy's list of the best butters from the grocery store. Among its praises, Kerrygold is heralded for a sweet, salty flavor and luscious taste. Kerrygold even holds its own when paired against fancy and much pricier butters, the kind that might require a special shopping trip. So what makes Kerrygold so unarguably and downright delicious? Well, the biggest difference boils down to butter fat. European butter contains 82% butter fat, while American butter batches typically top out at 80%. This may seem like a negligible difference, but American butter's higher water content contributes to a different flavor and texture. Notably, Irish butter is touted as being much more spreadable than American butter. Its higher fat content also contributes to superb baked goods, from extra flaky pie crusts to delectably buttery biscuits. Another distinction is apparent to the naked eye. Irish butter is known for its vibrant golden hue. The sunny yellow color is attributed to Ireland's lush pastures.
Because of Ireland's mild weather, our grass grows lush and green, and our cows are free to graze most of the year.
Cows that graze on grass will produce milk with higher levels of beta-carotene. This milk, when used in butter production, imparts the butter's now signature yellow tone. American butter, in comparison, can often look a little pale. The bland color is attributed to the fact that most American creameries source their milk from grain-fed cows rather than grass-fed. But get this, American butter from corn-fed cows actually has a history of being dyed for cosmetic reasons. Some commercial dairy producers, according to the New York Times, use annatto to amp up the yellow in their butter. No stranger to the dairy industry, annatto is also used to impart a yellow-orange glow to certain cheeses. Aldi diehards might remember the days of Kerrygold butter, which Aldi once stocked as a seasonal item at reportedly low prices. The grocery giant began to phase out Kerrygold from its dairy cooler in 2018. In its place, they rolled out their own brand of Irish butter, Countryside Creamery Pure Irish Butter. According to the label, it is indeed a product of Ireland and does not contain any added coloring to masquerade as grass-fed butter. It's worth noting, though, that it only contains 80% butter fat. You can find this soft spread consistently at Aldi stores for a very reasonable price. Even the Aldi nerd gives higher flavor marks to Kerrygold over Aldi Countryside Creamery standard, spreadable, and stick butter, though, saying the difference is unexplainable but also undeniable. To be fair, Aldi reviewer says the house brand costs a bit less than what Aldi sold Kerrygold for previously. They report that it looks and tastes a lot like Kerrygold, with bonus points for containing less sodium. Their opinion is that it's a decent substitute. Some may say, however, there is no substitute.
Simply Juice or Nature's Nectar, Oreos or original chocolate sandwich cookies. Most people think these brands are one and the same. So how does Aldi get away with it? Walking down the aisle of an Aldi or its big rival store, Lidl, you might notice that a lot of the packaging looks quite familiar. For example, the bold blues of Oreos and Chips Ahoy seem to pop from the shelves, encouraging you to indulge your cravings with a tall, cold glass of milk. Upon closer inspection, however, it soon becomes apparent that these aren't name brand products. Instead, they're chocolate sandwich cookies or chocolate chip cookies. While imitation may be a form of flattery, it's also thought to be a major legal no-no in the industry.
I'm seeing double here. 4 Crusties!
Obviously, companies work hard to come up with packaging that will catch the eye of consumers, and mimicking their design jeopardizes its effectiveness. The trick here, though, is that Aldi and Lidl are tweaking the colors and the fonts just enough to create an entirely new graphic. This negates the costs you'd pay by starting the design process from scratch and ensures a quality-looking finish. The original chocolate sandwich, for instance, features a very similar color scheme and image placement to brand name Oreos, but the font used for the lettering is ever so slightly different. While similar packaging could cause confusion, the fact is that shoppers who frequent these locations understand that both Aldi and Lidl manufacture their own similar-looking products. As one Reddit user commented, one that made me laugh was the Lidl sanitary towels. They're called Siempre, which is Spanish for always. It's almost blatant mimicry, but the designs are changed just enough to protect against the company from lawsuits. Of course, the recipes aren't the same either, with some customers saying that they prefer certain Aldi and Lidl products over the brand names, and vice versa. Another Reddit user explains it like this: the trick I find in Aldi is to try a couple of things at a time and look at it like gambling or taking a chance. When you're out, get a box of the Aldi brand. If you like it, congratulations. You now have ongoing savings. If you don't like it, you're at most out the price you paid for it.
Ka-ching, ka-ching.
As far as lawsuits go, Well, Aldi has suffered a fair share of legal controversy in the past, and the grocery chain has weathered both wins and losses at court. Certainly, some brands have been happy to pursue legal action against the giant supermarket chain. For example, Coca-Cola sued in 2010 over the look of Aldi's Nature's Nectar products, which was remarkably similar to their own Simply Juice brand. In 2014, Promotion in Motion sued over the packaging similarities between Aldi's Lunch Buddies and Welch's Fruit Snacks, while King's Hawaiian alleged in 2015 that the chain was confusing consumers with the suspiciously similar packaging of its Hawaiian rolls. Generally, the chain has settled these suits out of court and moved on, altering the packaging of the products accordingly. However, in February 2023, Aldi was taken the distance, again by British company M&S, this time for ripping off the chain's Snow Globe gin bottles. Aldi lost the case and now looks to appeal, as it faces the possibility of having to remove the product from its shelves or pay damages. While Aldi has certainly had to accept a few losses, its massive roster of brand-imitating products continues to draw in bargain-hungry shoppers. And really, these court cases are like drops in the ocean, while many brands appear to have decided that pursuing an expensive lawsuit isn't always worth it. In one particularly influential case, high-end beauty product company Moroccanoil Israel sued Aldi for trademark infringement and misrepresentation and lost. After an appeal to the Australian Federal Court, Justice Anna Katzman ruled that shoppers would know that Aldi's Moroccan Argan Oil shampoo was not associated with the Israeli company's product, and implied that brands should not have exclusive ownership over packaging designs. So sure, Aldi isn't always successful in treading the fine line between playful mimicry and straight-up copyright infringement, but it seems to be doing just fine nonetheless.
In September 2020, the International Business Times announced that Aldi would be making its Advent cheese calendars available in early November. The Emporium Selection Cheese Advent Calendar is one of Aldi's most popular items, and it only costs $14.99. Even though the quantity of cheese is small enough to fit in each day's square, the Advent calendars are just another instance of Aldi providing incredibly cheap cheese at a quality worth having. Anyone who knows of Aldi knows about their cut-to-the-bone style that allows for low prices that even Walmart struggles to compete with. In 2019, CNN ran a piece in which Greg Foran, Walmart's U.S. CEO, had this to say: "I've been competing against Aldi for 20-plus years. They are fierce and they are good." The article goes on to list several well-known examples of why Aldi runs so efficiently. For instance, Aldi's shopping carts must be returned, which saves on wages wasted on cart runners. However, these reasons don't completely explain why Aldi's cheese, in particular, is so incredibly cheap. Aldi can get away with selling good supermarket cheeses at a low price because of their practice of selling almost all their stock as a private label, a practice best illustrated by their American counterpart, Trader Joe's. The connection between Trader Joe's and Aldi stems from a separation of Aldi into Aldi Nord, or North, and Aldi Süd, or South, in the 1960s. In 1971, as Mark Gardner, author of Build a Brand Like Trader Joe's, explains, Theo Albrecht, the German owner of Aldi Nord, bought Trader Joe's. The Aldis seen in the U.S. today belong to Aldi Süd. They're competitors, but operate according to the same logic. Like Aldi, Trader Joe's relies heavily on private labels. Sarah Nesbitt, CEO of Coastal Carolina Soap, explained to Business.com what private labeling entails. Private labeling is selling products a business makes under another company's or business's brand. Additionally, it could also mean using an ingredient supplied by a separate company to produce one's own product without attribution. The seller has to directly pay for the product's creation, but has the freedom to alter it before selling it.
They're selling, Mortimer! Well, that's ridiculous!
This arrangement allows for the cheap prices that suck people into Aldi and Trader Joe's. By cutting out the pre-made aspects of the product, the seller lowers the amount they need to charge to make a profit. Furthermore, doing this allows the seller to change the product however they want. This is why Aldi has an easy enough time producing all kinds of cheap cheeses and advent calendars. Since they can develop their wares however they want, they can opt to redirect some of their cheese into advent calendars, an option unavailable when buying an already packaged product. According to a pamphlet from the 2019 Private Label Trade Show, the private label market has reached 25% of all U.S. sales. While loyal shoppers at stores like Aldi and the Aldi Nord-owned Trader Joe's certainly contribute to this number, it more generally reflects how pervasive this hush-hush market practice is. The extent of this secrecy grows apparent when you attempt to find out where these foods come from. More than 90% of Aldi's products are private label, and their labels leave a lot to the imagination. Its cheese These offerings are given vague yet aspirational sounding names like Emporium Selection or Specialty Selection or Happy Farms. In 2017, Eater commented on this phenomenon in an article about the brands behind Trader Joe's brands. In the piece, reporter Vince Dixon quoted from Gardner's book, writing, "Suppliers aren't allowed to say they supply Trader Joe's products, and Trader Joe's never willingly talks about who their suppliers are. However, by looking at the FDA's recall of certain Trader Joe's offerings, you can discover that Naked Juice and Stouffer's animal crackers are among the name brand items Trader Joe's rebrands as its goods. Trader Joe's also likes exclusive partnerships with private labels, as might Aldi, and cheese lovers reap the benefits. Happy Farms American cheese tastes like Kraft's version. It may be Kraft produced for all we know, but it's cheaper. As long as we can still buy decent quality cheese at a low cost, we will happily put up with the mystery of private labeling."
When you buy 3 baskets of strawberries at Aldi, just how many can you be accidentally charged for? One Australian customer found out the hard way, and it turns out she's not alone. Here's why you should always check your receipt when shopping at the grocery chain. Aldi shoppers should take buyer beware seriously, especially when it comes to their receipts, because they might be paying more than they're supposed to. One victim of overcharging brought this message to the Aldi subreddit, saying that they had gone to Aldi because they saw that certain candies and candles were around 80% off.
Aldi, the stock-up store.
No Aldi aficionado could bear to pass over such savings, but after paying and gathering themselves in the car, the person saw that the discounts weren't noted on the receipt. The customer service line was pretty long at the time and not really worth waiting on to get their $5 back, so they went home. This Aldi shopper warned, if you're on a budget and you buy clearance items, make sure you get the advertised price. A self-professed store associate responded, saying that their store had a computer issue earlier that day that prevented the discount from being processed. Other self-identified employees chimed in with similar cases. Either way, the associate said it's best to check your receipt anyway, so there's nothing nefarious here, but buyers should beware of paying more for Aldi's wares. Mistakes happen, and when they happen at Aldi, it can cost people money. In January 2021, Australia's 7 News covered a similar story, which the site also brought up in June 2020. Namely, that members of the Aldi Mums Facebook group had noticed they were being double charged for items. These aren't always simple cases of being charged for 2 containers of milk instead of 1. One reasonably shocked member exclaimed, "I was once charged for 33 small baskets of strawberries instead of 3. Didn't notice until I got home." That's 11 times the correct price, after all. In response to those cases, an Aldi spokesperson rolled out the solution in a statement. In the unlikely circumstance that a customer is overcharged, we encourage them to return to their local store to receive a refund. The spokesperson also noted that when making the return, you just need to bring the original receipt. Tracing the downward trajectory of Aldi's apparent cash register mistakes, we move from charging for certain items twice to charging for whole orders twice. In August of 2017, the BBC reported that certain Aldi stores in the UK's Midlands, who made purchases on August 4th and 7th, were charged a second time on the 24th. Apparently, this was due to a regional processing error, and a spokesman claimed that everyone had been reimbursed within 24 hours. However, as The Sun reported, the second charge caused some customers to suffer more than a mere inconvenience. One response tweet read, "Thanks for taking an unauthorized duplicate payment out of my bank just before the bank holiday and payday. Now I'm overdrawn. #broke." In the case of overdraft fees, the Aldi spokesperson said that the customer would have to sort the issue with the bank themselves. While no eagle-eyed scanning of your receipt can protect you from Aldi's algorithms charging you a second time weeks after the fact, it shows how serious the bugs that cause these problems can be. The previous examples present a situation where the customer should be on guard against slip-ups, which is a good policy for just about any store anyhow. However, a good business can't thrive when the public has to hold the company under constant scrutiny. In New York City, for example, the Department of Consumer Affairs is tasked with ensuring customers are charged the proper price. Jonathan Mintz, New York City's Consumer Affairs Commissioner, told ABC in 2010 that it shouldn't have to be up to customers to serve as the watchdogs of the checkout. At the time, more than half of the stores in a 1,000-store investigation had failed the department's inspection. These inspections usually involve selecting random groceries and seeing what the cashier charges. The more prevalent issue seems to not be double scanning, but pricing items by weight. In a 2015 press release, New York City's Department of Consumer Affairs announced that Whole Foods overcharged for 80 different types of prepackaged food, 89% of which deviated in weight by a larger than allowed amount. The worst offense was the claim that certain types of packages always weighed the same when such consistency would prove practically impossible, such as with vegetables. Buyers should definitely beware.
When it comes to Aldi's award-winning cheeses, everyone's got an opinion about which is best. But with so many options available, how do you know which to buy and which to avoid? Most people enjoy cheese on their pizza, but what about cheese that tastes like pizza? That's precisely how several Reddit users have described the roasted garlic with tomato and basil cheese from Emporium Selection. Some users have proclaimed this product to be their go-to Aldi cheese and recommend trying it on salads and pasta. This semi-soft cheese's Italian-inspired flavors give it a taste that is similar to a marinara or pizza sauce. It has a slightly softer consistency than Gouda and melts very evenly. The cheese is also heavily marbled, so every bite has an even amount of roasted garlic flavor. In 2021, Aldi faced legal woes over the sliced version of its Emporium Selection smoked Gouda cheese due to misleading information on the label. According to court documents, Aldi used a food additive called liquid smoke to flavor its Gouda, instead of naturally smoking the cheese. The flavor it imparts is very mild, only adding a slight hint of smoke to complement the natural sweetness of the cheese. This could be disappointing for consumers who want a more full-bodied smokiness.
Who can?
The plaintiff argued that the label should reflect that the cheese is smoke-flavored instead of literally smoked, seeing as the resulting taste isn't fully comparable. Although the lawsuit centered around the sliced smoked Gouda, the not-quite-transparent advertising may make consumers think twice about purchasing the block version too. Plenty of vegan cheese options are available today, but finding one with a convincingly creamy texture is difficult. Luckily, Aldi shoppers can enjoy a satisfying plant-based option in earth-grown vegan mozzarella-style shreds. It's not the only vegan cheese Aldi has ever offered, but it is one of the most widely available. This cheese comes in an 8-ounce bag instead of the 12-ounce bags provided for dairy-based cheese at Aldi. However, many argue that the delicious flavor and melty texture more than make up for the slightly smaller package. Reviewers from A Billion have given this product high praise for its meltiness, and many recommend using it on pizza. In addition to pizza, A Billion users suggest adding this mozzarella to tostadas, grilled cheese sandwiches, and even macaroni and cheese. Cream cheese is one of the most versatile dairy products around. It forms the basis of multiple sauces and dips, and can even be part of delicious cake frosting. Furthermore, it's hard to find a more perfect food pairing than cream cheese and bagels.
Cream cheese.
The most readily available option in Aldi stores is Happy Farm's cream cheese, which comes in the familiar block variety or as a spread. Consumers can purchase the spreadable version in either a traditional or whipped texture. All three options are the same size, so shoppers can take their pick without sacrificing on quantity. Unfortunately, though, many argue that this cheese's quality is another thing. Some Aldi fans think shoppers should skip this product altogether. One Reddit user devoted a whole thread to complaining about the blandness of this cream cheese, and many other users agreed. The thread's comment section is full of consumers who are disappointed with this spread's lackluster flavor, especially compared to some of Aldi's other products. Consumers have lodged similar complaints on Facebook, where one poster notes that the cream cheese they purchased had an unpleasantly tart flavor. Several other users echoed this concern, though some were more forgiving of this product. Overall, the lack of consistency in the taste of this cream cheese may not be worth the risk. Sweet and savory flavors can create delicious combinations, so Emporium Selection Cranberry White Cheddar Cheese sounds great. It combines large chunks of cranberries with a pleasantly sharp white cheddar and is sold as an 8-ounce round. Although it's technically a seasonal item, this cheese has reappeared on Aldi shelves for multiple years, thanks to its enduring popularity. One Aldi shopper recommended this particular cheese on Facebook, and multiple other users chimed in to share their love for this product. A few suggested using it for a unique spin on grilled cheese, while others recommended enjoying the cheese as is. Of course, it would also make a great addition to a cheese board. For example, one Reddit user shared a photo of this unconventional cheddar paired with assorted berries, crackers, meats, and other cheeses. Others commented that this cheese is one of their favorites and is a must-buy whenever it's in stock. No one expects sliced American cheese to be superior to other types of cheese. Still, Aldi fans are divided on whether or not Happy Farm's American cheese singles stack up to the competition. This cheese comes in a 16-slice package for a decent price, but a few Reddit users bluntly describe this cheese as trash. Furthermore, some users dislike the consistency of this cheese when it's melted, which can make for a disappointing grilled cheese sandwich. The consensus is that this cheese's flavor and texture pales in comparison when measured against other brands. However, not all Happy Farm's American cheese is of low quality. Most posters in the Reddit thread agree that the deluxe version of this product is a much better buy in terms of taste. These slices are less processed than their individually wrapped counterparts and have a more convincing cheese flavor. However, the deluxe slices are more expensive than the standard version. Wedges of Parmesan cheese can be very pricey, especially for well-aged and imported varieties. This cheese develops increasingly complex flavors over time, which means that the aging process sometimes lasts 30 months or more. Although the advertised maturation period for Emporium Selection Parmesan cheese wedge is significantly shorter, this cheese is still a delicious and affordable option. Parmesan aged 12 months or less is still considered immature and has a milder flavor than older cheeses. According to the label, this Parmesan is aged for at least 10 months, likely making it a fairly young cheese. If that doesn't bother you, then you may find real value in this cheese. As Aldi reviewer explains, this cheese would be excellent paired with a sparkling wine like Prosecco. The reviewer recommends enjoying this cheese in small doses due to its pleasantly intense flavor. However, like most Parmesans, it would also be excellent grated over various dishes. One YouTube reviewer describes the cheese as perfectly salted, with a subtle note of sweetness, and recommends shaving it over a salad. Aldi often features cheeses with unique flavor combinations, and Emporium Selection Hot Honey Gouda cheese is no exception.
Do you like cheese?
Well, why, yes, I do. My favorite's Gouda.
This cheese is part of a summer-themed selection of flavored Goudas, which also includes spinach and artichoke and sriracha varieties. Since spicy hot honey has become a cult favorite in recent years, it's no surprise that the discount grocery chain tried to capitalize on the distinctive condiment with this cheese. Unfortunately, as a TikTok reviewer and others have discovered, this cheese doesn't live up to its exciting name. The reviewer found that the cheese had a nice consistency when it was melted. However, it was utterly devoid of honey flavor. The cheese is also not particularly spicy, despite the presence of crushed red pepper on its ingredients list. Although Gouda is delicious in its original form, this cheese will likely disappoint those who are craving the taste of hot honey. Unfortunately, it's also the weakest option in its product group. As one Aldi aficionado posted on Instagram, the other two flavors are far better than the hot honey Gouda. Aldi shoppers can enjoy 3 varieties of Irish cheddar as part of the Emporium Selection Irish Cheddar assortment. Although Aldi frequently offers Irish-themed seasonal products around St. Patrick's Day, these cheeses are part of the store's year-round inventory. The brand has labeled each according to age: mild, mature, and vintage. According to Aldi reviewer, each flavor has something worthwhile to offer cheddar fans, like a smooth consistency and subtle flavor in the mild version. By comparison, the reviewer found the mature cheddar to be slightly tangier, with a taste halfway between mild and sharp. The vintage version is the likely best option for those who enjoy sharp cheddar. Several Reddit users mention this product assortment as a must-have. One suggests trying the vintage cheddar with crackers and raspberry preserves for a nice balance of salty and sweet. These cheeses would also make an excellent cheddar option for a cheese board. Brie likely has its origins in 7th century France and is still beloved by cheese connoisseurs today. For Aldi shoppers, this soft cheese comes in the form of the Emporium Selection Brie Cheese Round.
Cheese wheel, it's Brie. Oh, thanks.
This basic brie is available year-round and is best served gently warmed or at room temperature. Although the low price may make this product seem like a steal, the taste may push consumers to look elsewhere for their favorite French cheese. Brie is typically nutty and buttery, but many Reddit users feel that Aldi's version fails to capture that signature flavor. In the thread, the original poster describes their struggle to like this cheese, explaining that they tried it with and without the rind. They found the inner cheese tasteless and salty. Several users responded with their own criticisms, describing the cheese as too mild and bland. One user didn't pull any punches when giving their opinion, writing, "It tastes like the smell of wet paper towels. It's the only Aldi cheese I won't buy." Many of Aldi's cheeses are award-winning, including the Emporium Selection Applewood Smoked Gouda. This Gouda is one of 3 Applewood smoked cheeses, alongside cheddar and Gruyere. The collection earned a 2023 gold medal from Chefs in America for its exceptional flavor, an accolade the brand advertises on the label. These cheeses are cold smoked for 6 hours using natural wood, which sets them apart from some of Aldi's other smoked cheeses. All 3 are a great buy, but the Gouda is especially noteworthy. Since Applewood imparts a mildly sweet flavor when used for smoking, it blends perfectly with the nutty caramel notes of Gouda. In a Reddit thread that pitted 3 popular Emporium Selection Goudas against each other, users noted that the smoke flavor in this cheese is very subtle. This makes it an excellent choice for someone who wants to enjoy smokiness without losing the signature taste of the cheese. One user recommends trying this Gouda as a burger topping, but it would also work well as a slightly smoky addition to a charcuterie board.
What's that?
It's charcuterie.
Most consumers expect deli-style cheese to be thinly sliced, but Happy Farm's Deli Sliced Swiss doesn't quite deliver on that promise. The cheese comes in a resealable package of 11 slices and is an affordable sandwich option. However, the slices are slightly thicker than many other deli-sliced cheeses, which may be disappointing for some Swiss cheese fans. Even if the slice thickness isn't an issue, the flavor might be. A YouTube reviewer had a mostly neutral reaction to this cheese, describing it as neither awful nor excellent. Furthermore, Aldi reviewer points out another problem: the packaging. The cheese comes in a plastic tray with a resealable flap that does little to protect it from air exposure. The result is a cheese that dries out faster than products in more secure containers, creating an unpleasant texture. Unfortunately, the packaging also contributes to premature spoilage. Unless consumers repackage this cheese themselves after opening it, they may find it growing mold long before they can finish eating it.
Aldi is a great place to stock your freezer, as there are some truly mouth-watering options to choose from in Aldi's frozen aisle. If you're not sure where to start, try picking from some of our personal favorites. These are the frozen foods you should be buying at Aldi. Even if you're on a really strict diet, experts say you can afford to indulge in a decadent slice of cheesecake once a week, and this option from Belmont is the perfect way to do so. Because they're frozen, you can store these cheesecakes for a little longer than you would be able to a regular slice. And since they come 2 slices per package, you don't have to worry about eating the whole cake yourself. But whether you're on a diet or not, we suggest picking this one up. So, we love mint ice cream enough to eat a pint a night, but we know that's not the healthiest of nightly snacking options. Still, if you can't resist heading over to the ice cream aisle every time you're on a grocery run, consider this amazing good ice cream Aldi sells at a seriously good price without all of the guilt usually associated with this frozen treat. The brand offers a ripe strawberry, chocolate, and vanilla bean flavor. But we're going to go out on a limb here and give the mint chocolate a double thumbs up. It's a great alternative for your Ben & Jerry cravings. The brand claims the delicious treat will help you increase your protein intake without adding to that daily calorie intake we're all so worried about.
Yeah, I'm gonna get chip-faced. Wanna join me?
Aldi's protein pints are also a lot cheaper than most other healthy ice creams, giving popular brands like Halo Top and Enlightened a run for their money. Sure, there's been a lot of debate recently about whether all meatless burgers are actually as healthy as they claim to be. But superfood or not, there's no denying how delicious several vegan options can be, including this one. For a patty that packs a punch without puncturing your pocket, Aldi has just what you're looking for, and for under $4 for 4 in most locations. Even if you end up having a favorite, they offer many different and amazing options as well. These frozen patties are great to keep in your freezer for a quick lunch or dinner, since they can be ready in minutes. Don't shy away from the frozen fish section of the grocery store any longer. Besides, the American Heart Association says those who ate some fish every week were at lower risk of heart disease. They also found that the best way to increase your intake of omega-3 fatty acid is a dietary approach over pills and supplements. So if you're not already trying to increase your intake of omega-3 fatty acid, perhaps you should. As always, there's something in Aldi's freezer that will help you out. They have a range of inviting frozen fish options, but among our favorites are these wild-caught sockeye salmon fillets. They're full of flavor, easy to prepare, light on the pocket, perfectly proportioned, and if that wasn't enough already, it helps that they're pretty healthy too. Since Aldi is so good at keeping our pantry stocked with everything we may possibly have a hankering for, it's no surprise that they've got pretzels covered too. Aldi's Deutsche Küche Bavarian soft pretzels have been gaining popularity for a while now, and after trying them ourselves, we realize they're on the lists of Aldi's best frozen foods for a reason. They really are that good. These massive pretzels come 6 to a box, so they're a steal at under $4 in most locations. They're easy to prepare, and they're a great bang for your buck. Aldi's relatively recent Deutsche Küche range of German-inspired treats also has schnitzel, sandwich cookies, and other cookies and puffs for German food aficionados. Hash brown patties are a great breakfast option, but if you've ever tried to make them yourself, you'll know that there is a lot of work and waiting involved. Instead, pick up a box of Season's Choice hash brown patties from Aldi, with 20 whole patties in one pack. Imagine all the money you're saving by picking these over the $1-a-piece option at McDonald's. These hash brown patties are really tasty, and they're perfect as a to-go breakfast option on their own, or as a side for something a little more fancy. There was a time not so long ago when we'd microwave a Hot Pocket whenever we had a slight hunger pang. But even though they're not as bad for you as you'd think, they're still not really the best afternoon snack. But you're not going to be able to resist Aldi's spin on the popular quick fix food. The Live G-Free stuffed sandwiches from Aldi are the best tasting of any Hot Pocket wannabe we've tried. And they're gluten-free without tasting dry or falling apart. There's a delicious assortment of available flavors, and they're included in the Live G-Free range of frozen snacks and microwave meals that are all worth trying. Whether you're following a gluten-free diet or not, we know the mention of gluten-free pizza isn't usually met with sounds of delight. This isn't really surprising because most gluten-free crusts taste terrible and ruin the indulgent idea of digging into a cheesy slice. Aldi's Live G-Free gluten-free pizza option, though, is good enough to pick up even if you're not limited to foods without gluten. While Aldi doesn't have a magic solution for all of the pizza problems their gluten-intolerant customers face, they do have some respite at this store because the Live G-Free brand recently introduced a wide range of delicious new foods to their already impressive selection. As an added bonus, not only does the Live G-Free pepperoni pizza at Aldi not taste like sawdust, the entire pizza only costs about $5. If you've done much shopping for gluten-free foods, you know that's an amazing price that simply can't be beat. One of the best parts of a Japanese meal at a restaurant is definitely the dessert. While there are many options, there's something special about the relatively new invention, mochi ice cream. So it's especially exciting that it's now available in stores, and even more so that it can be found at such wonderful prices thanks to Aldi. For those who don't know, mochi is a dough made of sticky rice, and the mochi ice cream, if the name hasn't given it away already, is ice cream wrapped in this sticky sweet mixture. We're all for the more traditional matcha variant, of course, but Aldi sells Maimo Mochi in ripe strawberry and other absolutely delicious flavors, and we can't get any of them off our minds. You should definitely be including more fruit in your diet, but it's not always easy to keep a steady stock of fresh food around. If you're tired of fruit going bad but scared to lose nutritional value by picking fruit-based alternatives that last longer, invest in some frozen fruit. Season's Choice Frozen Berry Medley from Aldi in particular. Luckily, it doesn't really matter whether fruit is frozen or fresh, and while fruits like apples and bananas are best bought fresh, Season's Choice Frozen Berry Medley from Aldi are perfect frozen too. They're very easy to use with breakfast or to defrost and eat plain, contain plenty of that fiber we were talking about, and taste just as fresh and sweet as the real deal. In the frozen aisle, don't forget to pick up something from the popular Casa Mamita selection. After all, there's something so satisfying about being able to pick a small packet out of the freezer and have a meal or snack in minutes, and even more so if it's something as tasty as the Casa Mamita beef and bean burritos from Aldi. To add to it being Aldi lovers' dream come true, they cost less than $4. It's not always easy, but it is important to make sure your diet includes enough vegetables. The American Heart Association recommends at least 5 servings a day of these, and frozen vegetables definitely count toward that goal, which makes our lives easier. Aldi's Season's Choice steamed mixed vegetables are one of our favorite products from Aldi's frozen section, not only because they're super cheap, but they're also ready in a jiffy and taste just as good as fresh produce. We mentioned Aldi's delightful selection of German food already, but we just couldn't leave Aldi's beer bratwursts off a list of our favorite things to get at the store. Most beer bratwurst brands usually hover around and go upwards of the $4 or $5 mark. Aldi's are usually under $3, and they definitely don't compromise on taste. What makes these brats even more special is that they're flavored with beer, which gives them a particularly wonderful summery taste. Boil these, grill them, fry them, there's really no way you can go wrong. The Kirkwood crispy chicken strips from Aldi may come in a resealable bag, but we're not sure you're going to need it after you taste them. All of the Kirkwood frozen products are usually cheaper than similar options from name brands, and Kirkwood crispy chicken strips in particular are increasingly popular with their customers. They're also quick and easy to prepare, and although they are better oven cooked, unlike some other brands, they taste pretty good out of the microwave too, making them our favorite for when we're craving some tenders and don't want to wait for the oven to preheat.
Hack your cart, make small talk, and take your time. These are some of the things that'll drive your Aldi cashier crazy. The cashiers at Aldi are so fast that they've often gotten your whole cart filled before you've managed to press all the right buttons to pay for your groceries, and there's a reason for that. According to what a former Aldi manager told Daily Mail, his store required employees to meet a quota of scanning 1,000 products per hour. That's one item every 3.5 seconds. They would reportedly get in trouble if they didn't scan quickly enough. Another employee claimed on Reddit that their store scanning speed requirement was a whopping 40 products per minute, which comes to one product every 1.5 seconds. Having a scanning quota keeps customers moving through checkout quickly without having to open more registers, and the fewer registers are open, the fewer employees Aldi has to hire. According to reports, not meeting your target speed 3 times could result in a termination. Not even the fastest cashiers are always able to reach those target numbers. If you're not ready to pay and move on, Aldi cashier speed can sometimes be intimidating. However, knowing that the cashier's job security depends on their speed should help you realize that they're not rushing you to be rude. With Aldi cashiers having to meet extremely fast checkout quotas, it's essential that they keep the line moving. If you're talking on the phone, you're less likely to pay attention to getting all your products on the belt and are more likely to fumble around while paying. One Aldi cashier admitted on Reddit that she scanned a second customer's complete order with the order of the person ahead of them when they didn't use a divider, and neither customer looked up from their phones to correct the situation. If you're on the phone, it can be more difficult to get your attention, and having to talk over your conversation to communicate with you can be frustrating. Etiquette expert Lisa Gross told the Chicago Tribune that having a personal conversation on the phone in a public place like the checkout line invades the privacy of people nearby, like your cashier, who can become distracted by the phone call while trying to scan at a rapid pace.
Hello! What? No, I'm in the supermarket! Supermarket!
Being on speakerphone is an even ruder habit. If you're in the middle of a phone conversation that you cannot miss, put it on hold for a few moments. After all, you want to be able to give the person on the other end of the call your full attention anyhow. When you don't have your cash or card ready at checkout, it can seriously slow down the checkout process for you, your cashier, and the person behind you in line. An Aldi's employee told Reddit that one of the things that slows them down the most is when people spend a lot of time digging through their bags to find their cash. Another employee said that some customers spend several minutes looking for their wallet only to realize they left it in the car. Then they want the cashier to wait for them to go get it. Meanwhile, the line is backed up all the way through the frozen food section and quotas aren't being met. Even if you have your wallet ready, not having your cash organized can stall the checkout process. If you take just a little time to organize your cash rather than cramming it into your wallet, payment will go much quicker. Another thing that slows down the line at Aldi is when you have a lot of bills and coins to count out. Don't pay an $80 order with singles, it's not a strip club. And paying $5 all in change is a weak move when it comes to respecting your Aldi cashier. Because both the customer and the cashier have to count out the money, it makes the line back up. Of course, you don't want a whole stack of $1 bills in your wallet, and sometimes you may end up raiding your piggy bank to be able to afford groceries. But if you have any choice at all, be kind to your fellow shoppers and the cashier and choose a faster payment method at Aldi. Something else to consider to keep the line moving is not making exact change if you don't have to. It's faster for the cashier to give you change than for you to dig through your bag for just one more penny. The cashier would much rather quickly make change for you. It's all about conveyor belt etiquette. First of all, and this should be common knowledge, you should be sure to place the divider between your order and the order ahead of or behind yours. Secondly, you should wait for the person in line ahead of you to finish placing all their items on the belt before you add yours. It's pretty basic stuff, but here's a reminder in case your manners are slipping.
No, don't bring them to me, just put them on the conveyor. No, back at the end. No, not in the basket. Put the beans down on the conveyor belt.
Using a divider prevents the cashier from having to void products that don't belong to you, or accidentally having something you wanted to buy slip away with another customer. At Aldi, if the price of voided items comes to more than $10, they have to call a manager to come up and turn a key, which wastes time for everyone involved. Of course, all this extra time spent not checking out customers also affects the cashier's stats for the time spent not scanning products. The problem with adding items to the belt before the person in front of you finishes relates to the way the belt movement works. The act of ringing up grocery items causes the belt to move forward. So if the person ahead of you is adding their items to the belt more slowly than you are, the belt may move up without room for the customer ahead of you to finish placing their items. Aldi harbors an extremely competitive work environment. According to The Sun, at least one assistant store manager tells potential employees that they should expect to work like robots if they get the job. An Aldi employee wrote anonymously on Quora to explain that they have only about 3 seconds between customers, according to their store rules and quotas. To manage this, the employee said, "Customers are hustled out like cattle. You don't have time to talk with them or make them smile. Sure, if there's nobody in line behind you, you could sheepishly comment on why you're only buying wine and snacks on a Friday night. However, you'll want to hold your chatter until after the cashier is done with their part of the transaction so they can get through all the scanning as quickly as possible without making any mistakes. The way that Aldi handles checkout makes it especially frustrating if you do all your shopping in bags rather than using a shopping cart. If you place all the items from your bag onto the conveyor belt, the cashier will place them into an empty cart at the end of the aisle, not back into your bags. The cashier just doesn't have time to bag stuff for you. If you stand around rebagging everything out of the cashier's cart or end up walking away with the cart without contributing yours to the cashier for the next purchase, you end up slowing checkout for the next person. And if you walk away with the cashier's cart when they don't have a backup cart, the cashier has to waste time going to get a new cart. One exasperated Aldi employee told Reddit, "I get so annoyed by all the people doing a week's worth of shopping with bags and not getting a cart. Anything more than like 10 items, get a damned cart. I'm not making a precedent of loaning them mine or by bagging their stuff." The way that the checkout process works at Aldi means that you don't end up taking the same cart out the door that you've been pushing around the store. You'll want to take your children out of the cart before the end of your purchase to make the cart switch off go more smoothly. Rather than juggle children, some parents try to switch out the cashier's cart with their own cart, which contains a child. Some Aldi cashiers don't mind if you quickly switch carts and leave a toddler in the child seat part of the cart. However, the problem comes when you leave children in the main part of the cart where the cashier has to be careful not to hit them with boxes and cans. If a cashier asks you to remove your children from the cart, they're not just being picky, it's for your children's safety. It can get rough out there in the checkout aisle. If it's not your first time visiting an Aldi, you should be familiar with the way that the cart acquisition and checkout process works. The carts are locked together. However, you can unlock them with a quarter that you will get back when you return the cart. And in case you're not familiar with why the cashier has an empty cart at the end of the checkout aisle, it's because that's where they put groceries after they scan them. Once the cashier's cart is full, it becomes your cart, and your now empty cart becomes the cashier's cart. Aldi says that this process helps to ensure quick and efficient service. However, if you steal a cashier's cart and make it your own, you upset the whole process. Even if it's close to closing time, it's no excuse to grab the cashier's cart. Aldi offers online shopping with grocery delivery or curbside grocery pickup available through Instacart, where customers can shop through Aldi's website or the Instacart mobile app. While you'd think that outsourcing grocery delivery and curbside pickup would make Aldi's employees' lives a little easier, it can make it more frustrating. Some personal shoppers from Instacart ask employees to help find half their order, while an Aldi employee is happy to help anyone in the store locate a couple of items. The fact that they don't have time to locate 20 items is why Aldi is outsourcing the job in the first place. One Aldi employee told Reddit that it can also be frustrating when Instacart personal shoppers have multiple orders and micromanage the way orders are scanned and arranged in a single cart. Another employee remarked, "If I have one more person shop a double and then wait till they get to checkout to sort it, I'm gonna lose my shit." Not all Instacart shoppers have bad habits, but Aldi employees lament that many tend to act entitled and really get in the way. So if you're an Instacart personal shopper, you can make Aldi employees' jobs easier to do if you try to be thoughtful in your shopping habits. If you're looking for a way to bypass paying a quarter to rent an Aldi cart, you can find a cart hack in which people simply wrap the cart connection chain all the way around to the back of the quarter receptacle. By locking the cart to itself, you trick the cart into thinking it's connected to another cart, causing the cart to return the quarter to you. Sometimes customers do it to save themselves a quarter, while others do it as a pay-it-forward deed. No matter the reason you might do it, the Aldi cart hack causes problems. Unfortunately, this trick is extremely frustrating because it's nearly impossible to unlock them, according to Aldi employees. One told Reddit, "We end up using those carts in the back and taking them off the sales floor, which is fine until we end up with 15 of them. You're really not being kind by making carts free. Plus, the real reason Aldi makes customers pay for shopping carts is to keep prices low. So it's ultimately in your best interest to use a quarter like everyone else." Aldi employees don't like when you remove produce or other items, including empty boxes, from their stocking pallets without asking them first. It's simple. The shelves are for shopping. Before an item is on the shelf, it's not for you. One Aldi employee wrote on Reddit, "It absolutely irritates me when people shop my cart or pallet, or when they stop me to get boxes. Listen, I don't care if you take my boxes, but don't dig through my pallet of boxes and make them all fall. Grab one from the shelf. I literally don't have time for you to slow me down. Another former employee said on Glassdoor that cashiers not only ring up groceries, but they are also responsible for unloading around 12 pallets of products per day. Aldi doesn't hire extra people to unload trucks, stock shelves, or do any cleanup. It's not that employees don't want to help you, it's just that when you interrupt the shelving process, it slows their progress.